I want your calls on whether you would intervene if you saw a crime taking place. 0207 862 2222 is the number. I'd love your calls. Has it happened to you? Did you step in when you saw someone shoplifting? Or maybe you tracked down your stolen mobile phone? I'm asking because it's Lawless Britain Week here on 5, and there's a special series of programmes and news coverage all focusing on crime and punishment. Tonight's programme looks at the vigilantes trying to tackle the issue of street crime. Have a look.
So what do you do when the police can't take action?
You got a bike inside that belongs to us.
Because confronting a criminal isn't for the faint-hearted. But now, brave citizens are coming together. And fighting...
We've also commissioned a special poll that looks at the attitudes to crime. One of the most interesting results was whether people who witnessed certain crimes intervened. Have a look at this. Sexual assault, the answer's 30%, 37% of people intervened. Hate crime, 28%. Mugging, 21%. Knife crime, understandably, close to the bottom of the list. And shoplifting, 14%. There are separate statistics about those who got involved after the incident to comfort the victim. Those are often much higher. But as you can see, these figures about trying to stop the crime taking place in the first place are actually fairly low. I mean, the type of crime is absolutely key here, isn't it? Because if it's a knife crime, you see it taking place, the risk to you at that stage it is going to be immense. James, when would you step in and when wouldn't you?
Ooh, it's a really difficult one because I think even in my lifetime things have changed hugely. In the past, I think society would have said, well, you would have stepped in if you saw any of these things happening, frankly. You would have stepped in. But now, because of the proliferation of knives and the fact that these people very often operate in more than one, you know, what can you do, and are you putting yourself and others at more danger from actually intervening? So, for example, something like sexual assault, if you could see something happening and you were able to take that person away or indicate that, you know, that person has to stop, then maybe that kind of thing can be dealt with. Hate crime is something that is generally a person either saying or doing something totally unacceptable, but generally not driven by violence. Mugging, knife crime, you know, those are probably the ones to steer clear of. Shoplifting, I'm surprised it's 14%. I mean, I've seen people nick stuff and I went, did you really need to put that in your pocket? But again, depending on who they are and what they're wearing, chances are they've got a weapon with them. So,
well, you don't know, do you?
You don't know.
And when you see shop staff, I mean, are being targeted these days, we're seeing shoplifting, not in the traditional way of slipping in a pocket, but actually running into shops, clearing shelves.
Well, I've seen those sorts of things happen, and frankly, they're doing that. They're a professional operation. They've done it before. They'll do it again.
Yasmin,
steer clear.
I'll be asking you after the break, if that's all right, to find out where you would step in and where you wouldn't. And we want to know from you as well. We're going to take your calls on this. Would you intervene if you saw a crime taking place in the street? A mugging, someone shoplifting, for example. Would you try and stop it, or is it asking for trouble? Let's get straight to Yasmin's thoughts, actually, on whether she'd intervene if she saw a crime taking place in the street. We're going to get your calls as well. It's after our exclusive poll revealed shockingly low numbers of people would actually try to stop a crime like a mugging or a theft from happening. Let's have a look at those again. There we go. Sexual assault, 37. Hate crime, 28. Mugging, 21. Knife crime, 17. Shoplifting. Which one sticks out there to you, Yasmin, as one that maybe where you would get involved, would you say?
Before I answer your question, just let me say the programme is highlighting vigilantes.
Yeah.
And I am very uncomfortable.
With the term vigilante?
With the actual acts of joining vigilante groups. I mean, in the case of this programme, apparently it's an ex-police detective, so she knows what she's doing. But we've seen vigilante groups and what they've done with so-called suddenly deciding some bloke around the corner is a paedophile, and sometimes just falsely accusing them.
That's just a lynch mob, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, if you take the word...
But vigilantism has that built in.
Well, no, does it? Because if you're vigilant, if you take that word at its face value and you're vigilant and you're aware of your community...
That's different. No, you can be vigilant, but if you are a vigilante, that's a different thing altogether.
Dare I say, I'm with Yasmin on this. I feel...
Oh, no!
No, I'm now going to have to go and have a lie down.
OK.
If a nation and society has to rely on vigilantes, it means the system itself is broken. So I certainly remember growing up in the 80s when violence on the tube became a problem. Suddenly there were these vigilantes, and yes, OK, so they made themselves, you know, known, and they were wearing these jackets. But again, I thought, well, hang on a second, where are the authorities to prevent this? Because in fact, when you're talking about these things happening, and we talk about shoplifting quite a lot, why? Because for whatever messaging, people were putting out that, you know, you won't get stopped if it's under 200 quid, and, you know, it's not a high priority, and they'd taken the police off the street and all this stuff. You have to prevent these things. Vigilantism is a response to a lack of visibility and a lack of prevention.
The reality is, if it happens on a train, if it happens in a shop, the chances of a police officer being there are very slim. And that's why the Met Police has put out this advice. They have actually said, look, we know this is going to happen. If it happens and you're there, look, be an active bystander.
That's all good.
Ask the person if they need help.
Vigilantism is different. But to answer your question, though, so shoplifting, I've intervened sometime, but mostly where the person was obviously in extreme poverty and I helped them out. So my intervention was not...
You were complicit?
No, I wasn't complicit. I just thought a mother stealing nappies, I couldn't... you know, I wasn't going to stop.
So you said, don't steal that, I'll...
No, I told them she's with me and I paid. I've said this on the programme before. But with hate crime, it's been interesting because I've witnessed it, mainly racist comments, really horrible comments, picking on somebody. And sometimes I'm the victim. And what happens is really interesting. If you keep a very steady voice and you say, you do not talk to me like that, and you do not express your racism in a public space, you can feel it, you can think it. I would say 90% of the time you get support from others and they back off.
Yeah. I'm going to just take us through the rest of this advice so it's there. In fact, safety in numbers, I think, is a really interesting one. And I wonder whether you feel the same way, that that one maybe doesn't work as well as it once did. That idea of a connection, a mutual responsibility, where actually if you start, you know you'll be backed up by other people. That's what you'd want. If you see someone, stay neutral and calm, exactly as you were saying there, Yasmin. Just try and ask them, let's say shoplifting, ask them politely to put it back, and finally only intervene if you feel safe. So where
and the
you
active
become...
bystander is really important, especially when it comes to girls and women and there's, you know, they're being harassed. An active bystander can make such a lot of difference.
Well, this is what I'm saying. It's the police can't be there every time, James. You know, we as communities, we have a responsibility to look after each other.
Yes, of course. But I think that there are a whole range of things here. So, of course, society, and there are various things that one can do or perhaps should do. But I think also because the policing has moved away from active intervention, and there are more people who feel that they can get away with it, combined with the fact that we've got more people, particularly in urban environments, carrying knives and guns and bits and pieces. And then, of course, the drugs and the drug running. So there are so many different things that need to be tackled that you're dealing with the result.
I'm going to say vigilantism, I'm going to put a definition on it, includes breaking the law. So you break the law to put right and
vigilantism is different from being vigilant.
OK, we're going to move on, take some calls. Martin is in Doncaster. What do you think, Martin? Would you step in? Have you stepped in the past to either prevent a crime or to take control of it and report it?
Yeah, this time last year, 12 months ago, I was on a weekend away with my partner at Birmingham. And anyway, it was a Sunday morning. I walked into a shop and... I was at the till and there was a little bit of commotion. Anyway, I couldn't see exactly what was going on. And then I went to leave a shop, and then there was a shop assistant having a go at a homeless girl. She had some items in her hand, and that's what she was saying, you're not taking them, you're not taking them. Anyway, this homeless girl was having to go back, and she goes to leave the shop, and there's a security guard on the door, right in the middle of the sliding doors. He was about 6'3", 6'4". Anyway, he let the homeless girl walk out with the items. And for some reason, I walked out and I grabbed hold of the girl. And I said to her, you're not taking them. Anyway, she said something to me and I grabbed it. Anyway, she grabbed hold of me.
Why did you do that, Martin? Because it sounds like the shop assistant wasn't able to do it. The security guard had no interest in doing it. Why you?
I don't know. I just didn't think about it. It was just instinct. I think it's never something I've done before, and it just happened for some reason.
Why did it feel so wrong?
Probably felt wrong in that moment. Yeah, I mean, I don't know whether it felt, but I didn't do it because it felt wrong. I don't know what came into my head. I just intervened for some reason. Anyway, she dropped the items and then she started shouting over to somebody over the road. So by the looks of it, it was organised. You know what I mean? By the looks of it.
So suddenly you're in a situation where it's you and her and maybe others as well getting involved. Did you start to regret? Did you start to regret the decision you'd made at that stage?
Well, I was worried a little bit because he was stood outside my hotel as well, and we had to go back. We had to go back in there, and luckily, nothing got said or anything. And anyway, I did something stupid though, Matt. I know it's thingy. I know I did the right thing, and I'd do it again. But I wrote to the company about it a few days later, just to say, listen, you need to do something, because that poor girl, she couldn't have done anything. The security guard, that's what I was writing for. But I thought, if I write to him...
So, I've lost you there, Martin. Go on.
Can you hear me?
Yes, you've just come back now.
Yeah,
Go on.
Yeah. I did something stupid, Matt. I wrote to the company to tell them about the incident because they needed telling. Because that, you know what I mean?
Did you get a response from them?
Oh yeah, I got a thank you, but I also did it. I did it not just because he wanted telling, but I thought if I write to them, they might send me a voucher. I know it sounds daft. I know it sounds daft. I should have done that.
Well, listen, what you were doing, though, Martin, you're also letting them know that their systems weren't working and it was turning that shop into an unpleasant place to be. Listen, thank you for telling us your story anyway. We're going to move on. Lorraine is in Norfolk. Lorraine, have you ever stepped in and did it turn out well?
I have stepped in. I was out shopping, doing my weekly shop, minding my own business, and I saw somebody shoplifting. It wasn't just a little bit, it was quite a lot. So I filmed a member of staff, and the manager came over to me and gave me a lovely big bouquet of flowers to thank me. That's
lovely. Why did you do it? Because you weren't being stolen from, the shop was.
Yeah, well, we all pay the price, don't we? Shoplifters they're making people lose money, the shop's losing money, which is respective of us paying more on our shopping bill. You know, so it's got to be done. It's not on. Okay. It's really not on that people can think it's okay to steal, and innocent people actually paying the price for that anyway.
Did you worry about what might happen? Were you concerned that that person might have a weapon?
No, not at all. Not at all. There's CCTV. There's other people about, so I wasn't concerned at all. But I did do it discreetly. I saw it happening, and I just pretended I was doing asking for something, and just said, "There's somebody stealing there, somebody shoplifting." So I went and told the manager, and the security caught them. There was over £300 worth of stuff she'd stolen.
Wow. OK, big money. OK, thank you, Lorraine. Well done. Sean's in Wolverhampton. What about you, Sean? Have you stepped in?
Yes, I did. I was walking through town, and I just heard somebody shouting, "Stop thief, stop thief." And I could see this guy running towards me. So as he run past me, I just stepped out and tackled him, and he landed up dropping exactly what he'd stolen. And it was only when the shopkeeper caught up and he picked it up off the ground that I realised he'd stolen one of those ornament samurai swords. You know, the ones that look like a stick of bamboo.
So you stopped somebody who was carrying a lethal weapon?
Yeah, I didn't realise at the time. I just heard "stop thief, stop thief," and it was just an automatic response.
Yeah. Did you, when you got home and you thought about the way that could have turned out, I take it you were fine and you weren't attacked. But when you got home...
Yeah, everything was fine, but...
What did you think?
Yeah, the what ifs did play on my mind for a good few days, a week or two afterwards.
I'm not surprised. You took a risk there, Sean. I'm glad it worked out the way that it did.
Yeah. You and me both.
Yeah. I mean, what Sean's talking about there, what Lorraine was talking about there, this is about actually looking and saying, it's not going to happen, not in my street, not in the place where I shop. I'm not prepared to to stand for that. That's not vigilantism, is it? That's
not vigilant. That's being vigilant. That's being part of society. I mean, and as one of your callers says, it's instinctive. You're not even thinking.
Yeah.
Right? And I think they're both very brave.
Do you think we are in a different place, James, to maybe a few years ago where, you know, I feel like we are less connected after COVID, that actually you can't count on people necessarily the way...
I don't think it's COVID to blame. I think it's a society change over the last probably 20, 30 years where I think there is a completely different level of respect from younger people to older people. I think that people's rules, if you like, that they adopt are completely different. I mean, you have a look at all the litter that is just left, and it's okay, so it's low level. Does it really matter? Actually, I think it does. And the fact that, you know, during COVID, we saw it at its worth. That people would go and visit places, the bins would be full, and then just leave all their rubbish next to the bin because they thought that couldn't possibly go in their car to go home. So people don't take a sort of the same level of civic pride, perhaps, that they did before, which then leads into a whole range of other behavioural problems which exist within society.
If people are given the invitation to reconnect, to stand up for each other, then they'll do it, because we did see some of that during COVID, people looking out for each other. Listen, brilliant stuff. Thank you for all your calls on that. We have to move on. Don't forget, Vanessa is coming up soon. She will be continuing the discussion on lawless Britain and asking whether you trust the police. So make sure you call to talk to her about that.